God, Nia Jax! Nia Jax with a cross!
It's been 4 months since former WWE superstar Nia Jax was released from her contract. Nia Jax, a one-time Raw Women's Champion and two-time Women's Tag Team Champion, both instances were with Shayna Baszler, has been critical of the company since her release. Jax recently revealed that WWE even asked her to come back for a spot in the 30-woman Royal Rumble match, but she rejected the offer. The former Raw Women's Champion took another shot at WWE on Wednesday. Responding to a fan who said they'd like to see her back in WWE, Jax stated that she receives daily calls on how everyone is miserable there. There have been several reports in recent months regarding unhappiness and frustration within the company. Apparently, backstage morale was low following the Royal Rumble. It was reported that Shane McMahon had disagreements with Brock Lesnar and Vince McMahon about the booking of the men's Royal Rumble match, which led to Shane McMahon exit from the company. And of course, numerous talents have publicly asked for their release from the company since the rise of AEW. The list includes The Revival, Mike Kanellis, Andrade and Sin Cara. On top of that, the promotion has performed plenty of superstar and employee cuts since the start of the pandemic in April 2020, and many of them have since landed with AEW. For what it's worth, Nia Jax stated after her WWE release that she is unlikely to wrestle again. Her final WWE match took place on the September 20th edition of Raw, where Nia Jax fell to Shayna Baszler. With Jeff Hardy's 90-day WWE non-compete clause on the verge of expiring, many wrestling fans are waiting to see if he'll wind up in AEW. As previously noted, Jeff Hardy recently told a wrestling fan at a concert that he was heading to AEW, adding that he's excited for the opportunity. Hardy later took to Twitter and stated, "Nothing is official," warning fans that they shouldn't get excited yet. A new report suggests, however, that Hardy is indeed on his way to AEW. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer reported that the former World Heavyweight Champion should be in AEW relatively soon. Meltzer believes additional new talents will be arriving in AEW before long as well. Jeff's older brother, Matt Hardy, signed with AEW in March 2020 following the expiration of his WWE contract. Matt Hardy later explained that he and WWE didn't see eye to eye on the creative direction of his wrestling character, and he sought more say and freedom. Matt would soon land a new opportunity in AEW, and he debuted for the company on the March 18, 2020 episode of Dynamite. Now, it's seemingly only a matter of time until Matt and his younger brother reunite. WWE released the younger Hardy brother from his contract following an incident at a December house show. Hardy was working a 6-man tag team match with Xavier Woods and Drew McIntyre against the Bloodline. Hardy exited the ring in the middle of the match and did not return, and WWE decided to send him home. He was released from his contract. The Hardy Boys reunion. The Hardy Boys are one of the most beloved and electrifying tag teams in the history of professional wrestling. AEW isn't lacking in quality tag teams, but having Matt and Jeff in the fold could take the division to another level. Matt has enjoyed great success in AEW after being heavily underused in his last WWE run. It should be the same case for Jeff if and likely when he comes aboard. Ring of Honor is all elite. AEW President Tony Khan's big announcement on this week's edition of AEW Dynamite was that he had signed on the dotted line and completed the purchase of the beloved wrestling promotion. It all went down at Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida on Wednesday, March 2nd. The show opened with Tony Schiavone standing alongside his boss Tony Khan in the ring. Schiavone handed the mic over to Tony Khan, who finally made the announcement that he's been teasing since last week. Khan then introduced Ring of Honor originals Christopher Daniels and Bryan Danielson, who went one-on-one in a match that was ultimately won by Danielson. Shortly afterward, TK released a memo that contained more details about the deal. The memo revealed that Tony Khan's acquisition of ROH also included the promotion's coveted tape library. The ROH tape library has added a lot of value to the as-yet unannounced AEW streaming service. Interestingly, AEW broadcaster Tony Schiavone recently said that he expects AEW to launch its own streaming service at some point. "I think we're going to see a streaming service, this is my thought, I don't know anything for sure. Just by talking to people, I think there's going to be a streaming service by the end of 2022, Schiavone said on the most recent edition of Ask Tony Live. So I think it's going to come up very, very soon, he added. A leading theory is that Cody Rhodes will return to wrestling through ROH's door, and hit back at AEW, that way through an elaborate angle. And Ring of Honor invasion led by the man who was previously the company's world champion before helping to form AEW. Fightful Sean Ross Sapp commented on the theory after Khan's announcement, relaying that it was simply fan speculation at this point, but the same source who revealed Khan's Ring of Honor news to him added that Rhodes being involved is possible. Rhodes allowed his AEW contract to run out at the end of 2021, news that broke a few weeks later. Despite it seeming as if he would eventually pen a new deal, AEW later announced both Cody and Brandi Rhodes had decided to part ways with the company. Where Rhodes will land next has been a hot topic in wrestling ever since.